Hello, sir. Good evening.
Hi, Salma. Good evening.
Good evening,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, good evening, Archit bhai. Yeah, good evening to all. Is my voice audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we'll start. It's almost like 6:45. We have given 15 minutes. We'll proceed. I think the others may join later, but however, we'll go ahead. Okay, if you recap what I have said, what we discussed yesterday, I'll be very happy. Okay. And the three main things is like on what the recent advances and how you look at the future advances, or how you work on your documentation to keep abreast, first thing. And second thing is the global harmonization which we are looking for. Okay. And it's both in quality and regulatory. And the third is like on the AI data integration, whether it's with your quality or it's with your regulatory. So these are few important points we discussed. Also, I told you something on what's going to happen with ISO 13485 in next 4 5 months or in 6 months. Okay. What are the changes that are going to happen? Are we really equipped to make those changes in our QMS? If so, what is that you are going to bring to yourself and to the organization? Okay. You have to be prepared. And also I discussed few other things about the total course content, what we'll be doing on each and every subject, each and every section perhaps. On the capstone project, the publication of it, how it will add a lot of weightage to your experience and CV. I also discussed on the ways where you need to keep abreast. See, one thing I want to be very categorical and clear. He is, guys, please take it seriously. See, one of the reason I think I was shared in the WhatsApp group, one industry institute meet 2025. I don't know how many of you have gone through that. Have anybody have gone through it? Have
Not
any?
yet, sir.
Aman, have you read it?
No, sir. I've just seen over it. I've taken an overview, but not yet in depth. I've read it.
Yeah, maybe later after the sessions at 8:30 or 9 when you're free. The reason why I shared, okay, the pivotal reason why I shared is that uh, to make you understand, to make you think like, see, that's regarding the summary of the meeting where I was a guest speaker in Sripur. Okay, in STPM, it's university. Okay, where they asked me to talk about industry. Okay, institute future ready talent for industry 5.0. You know what is industry 5.0? And now where are we? Is it industry 5 3.0 or 4.0 or?
As as per my knowledge, now we are in industry 4.0 is an IoT, and 5.0 I think so it's AI and AR VR.
Yeah, you are very right.
Mm.
We are in, we will be moving to 5.0. Okay, industry 5.0. So the topic there where I was discussing was like future ready talent for industry 5.0. So I took, I spent a lot of time in understanding the students' curriculum, attitude, what they want, what could be the future. Of course, I have written a book on, I'll share the digital copy of it with you. I have written a book on, like, on Generation Z, okay, what the future holds for them. Okay, till 2050, what's going to happen in 2050 for the generation Z? Okay, by the time they'll become 45 or 50, this generation. So I'll share the digital copy of it. So I mean, coming to the main context why I'm shared it is like, see guys, you have a generation that is coming out, okay, mainly from good universities, colleges, which are well equipped. That's what I said. They are future ready talent for industry 5.0. Okay. And they are ready to, I mean, move fast, navigate fast into any sphere. Okay. But I mean, we'll think of medical devices, QARA, manufacturing sector, or any supply, marketing, whatever it be. They are ready and their curriculum is equipped, okay, to train them and to get on with the, I mean, get on with the job without any further training or additional skills into the medical device field. Okay, mainly some of the institutes like that of NIPER are just collaborating with the institutes to scale them up. And why I'm telling this is like, say you are stuck in somewhere in the earlier or in the middle management, some are there in the higher management. You have on the bottom one side a future ready talent that is coming up equipped with all the AI ML skills or having enough knowledge. And you have on the upper side in the hierarchy people who are experienced, okay, who, I mean, like they occupy the chair every time. And of course, end of the day, they are experienced, they have the command. But you will be struck in somewhere in the middle, okay, where there is a scope that the future ready generation then that may take over you or they may directly enter into your position. Okay, and there is a possibility that you will be clogged somewhere in the middle that you don't have scope to move further or say move into further designations or posts. And why I'm telling this is like you need to upgrade yourself with the real world happenings. Okay, what is the real world? What is it happening? It's not just traditional things like what I have studied in my college school. Is that fine? Or my recent 3-4 experience, what I have done, is that fine? Okay, what next is going to happen? How to get myself equipped? Okay, I mean, it's more of guys, I'm telling it's more self-learning. It's not that somebody comes and teaches you. You have to work on, I mean, look at the other peers, how they are moving. And mainly you need to do a lot of self-learning. And of course, there could be some mentors where you can join a lot of training programs, okay, to equip yourself. As Aman has rightly said, like Industry 4.0 is more on automation of the industries, okay? That, I mean, as we move, there will be industrial revolutions that happen. If you take the industrial revolution during the Cold War that happened, I mean, between Russia and US, okay, that's where it started in 1980s, okay, where a lot of industrialization happened and US benefited from it. Because they have followed the capitalistic system and US, I mean, Russia didn't prosper so well because of the communist system. I mean, like that, I mean, we are entering into Industry 5.0. Okay, and what is that we are doing? Because there is already in back of us the future ready talent who are getting equipped with that. And the question, my question straight to is, are you ready for Industry 5.0 or 5.0? For that, what you need to do? Okay, as I said, 5.4.0 is basically automation that happens, but 5.0 is more on, see, machines, artificial intelligence, but there is an human-centric interface also. Human-centric interface with artificial intelligence and machine learning, okay, for the safety of the patient. It's all centered with AI ML, but you have to be human centric. You need to take control of it. Okay, but end of the day, it's the we'll be talking about the patient safety, okay, or the performance of the devices what you are talking. So that's the main reason I want this to. I mean, remember this. Maybe after 1 2 years, you see everybody moving up because of their, I mean, hybrid skills, hybrid skill of working. Then you should not feel sorry that why I haven't wasted, I haven't learned this stuff. Okay, and we call that mainly as adaptability. You need to adapt with the situations, okay, wherever you go. So you need to do what we call it as upskilling. Okay, upskilling is very, very important in any domain. But in a domain like us, medical devices, upskilling is very, very important. Whether you take any sphere, whether it's including maintenance or production or quality or regulatory, even HR management. When I share some of the SOPs with you, you'll understand how important upskilling is. Uh, I mean, upskilling is entering into, I mean, sipping into all the carpets of the industry. And I have, I mean, gone through some of the industries where still they do it manually. All the systems have been manual, but they need to work on with the new systems, new SOPs, upgrade their SOPs. I mean, that's the reason why I'm getting on with ISO 13485. Okay. Uh, and point two is please read. I know you are occupied with your job, you are all working professionals, but at least read the summary. I'll try to uh, concise the matter what I'm sharing so that you can have an overview or look of it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes time, not lengthy documents. Uh, I mean, my opinion is like, I really want to see you understand this and grow in your organization. Maybe 4 years or 5 years later, you should be in the top three or top two positions. What do you say, Aman?
Definitely, sir.
So that's what I'm saying. One is upskilling and getting hybrid. One is upskilling. The second is hybrid skills. And the third is adaptability. Okay, need to get adapted to the changing environment, changing world. Of course, the fourth most important is like you need to work with multidisciplinary teams. It's not that you are alone doing things. You have to work with a lot of teams. It's more multidisciplinary. You need to work with engineers, scientists, data scientists. You need to, I mean, quality people, regulatory people. So that culture only will make you, I mean, grow faster. I mean, like say 5 10 years back, it's like a standalone QA manager or RA manager. He used to do only his work, RM. But I mean, things have changed. You better understand it. Okay, it's all collaboration. As I said, you remember this 4 point. You need to upskill. You need to work in hybrid mode. I mean, hybrid in the sense you need to collaborate. And the other thing is you need to be adaptable with what's happening with the changes that are happening mainly in the AML. Okay. It's not that AML will overtake your jobs, but it helps you to, I mean, to do a better, have a better productivity, do work fast. Okay, AML does a lot of mistakes. I know AML, sorry, artificial intelligence when I've done in a lot of like in ML Azure, it makes mistakes, but it's okay. We can work on the data or data training and other things. So before I go ahead, I think we have 10 people who have joined. So I'll be switching on to ISO 13485. And before that, I want to talk about Salvation because yesterday I didn't touch. This Salvation Global was, I'm the founder and CEO of Salvation Global. We founded, I mean, it's in 2021. As of now, we cater to not only to medical devices, to pharma and cosmetics. Okay, I have a people of, I mean, employees of around 25 working with me. All of them work on online mode, remote, and I have something like 12 to 13 freelancers whom I hire based on the requirements from the project, and we have pretty good clients. If I share that, I mean, our clientele, all that, I'll be wasting time. So I mean, my focus basically is to, I mean, have partnership with companies. Okay, align with companies not on short-term basis, like, okay, do a CER or do MDR for this product work, or some bits and pieces of work. I align with the manufacturers, companies, any companies, and like we'll have a MOUs for 4 5 years where we foster their future and look at how the company is moving, and we adopt more AML integrations to update them on what's happening, like the business intelligence, customer feedbacks, market feedback. Of course, I mean, like I studied pharmacology. Uh, my PhD was in pharmacology and anti-cancer drugs, where I have done it in, I mean, Germany, in University of Bonn. But my postdoctorate fellowship PDF was on medical devices. It's basically on drug-eluting stents. I mean, during that time in 2005-6, when I'm doing my PDF, again that too I have done it in Germany. Boston Scientific and Johnson and Johnson, they were not, that time they are working on the drug-eluting stents. Earlier, they are coronary stents. Earlier, there were bare metal stents. Since I am from pharmacology, I had ample understanding on what these drug device combinations. So I straight away entered as a chief scientist after my PDO. Then I moved to uh, mostly into the clinicals. My second profession was in clinicals. I worked with a lot of hospitals. And my third is in the regulatory affairs. Uh, and my fourth is on quality assurance, which basically I don't have much inclination on QA, QC or QA. I don't know why. Then later in 2020, post-pandemic, I switched to AML. I mean, I have done that program PG in AML in University of Texas in Austin, US. So, but I mean, I found, I mean, that's where it all changed, that how the AML can be adopted to even the medical devices. Okay, the clinicals like the data management, okay, clinical data management and all that stuff. So, I mean, why I'm saying all this is that you need to have continual progression in your education parallelly with your job. Okay, of course, I have done MBA in business intelligence, but that is for just show, just to add it to my name, after my name, but I don't do much business intelligence work. But rest of them, I feel good. So you need to keep upskilling, first thing. And the second thing is why I'm talking about Salvation Global is, if you need, I mean, any 25 of you who have enrolled here, of course, we have now 10 or 11, they can come back to me and ask me any queries on the updates or on their projects which they are working in their company. Like uh, Akanksha yesterday, I mean, requested, there were some issues, and I'm ready to help her. Whatever issues you have, in your, I mean, like in your manufacturing unit or other manufacturing companies, or in your personal to how to upgrade yourself. Okay. And I also later after the sessions, I'll also provide some of you freelancer jobs in my company. Okay, looking at various, because we have a lot of work I mean, we have a lot of startups that have been engaged with us. Okay, mostly because I worked a lot in Ahmedabad and in Bangalore. Though my native is Hyderabad, I worked in Relicis Medical Devices, I worked in Care Hospital, but most of my career was in Ahmedabad. So I have a lot of clientele there. We can work on it. I mean, those who are interested after the sessions can contact me. So I'll find a suitable job in other companies, or we'll have a freelancer agreement with us. Okay. Kalpesh, understood? Yeah, Arulmati, is nice to see you. I thought you were very busy, engaged.
Sir, Saturdays are fine, sir. Fridays, sir, I am tied up with works.
Okay, okay. Understand. Because people generally on Saturday, they have more social life. Then on Friday, I mean, it depends. Like some have 5 day week, some have 6 day week, and some have option of working, taking leave, paid leave in mid. But it's good to see you. So
Thank
I
you,
don't,
sir.
yeah. So as we move forward, I want to just open up. I mean, most of you would have been in the manufacturing companies. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, except Anil. Anil is from academics. Akanksha is from manufacturing. Kalpesh, Majid, Arulmati.
Yes, sir. Manufacturing. Manufacturing.
Yeah, though why I'm saying this is though you are from manufacturing company, though you belong to the regulatory affairs, I said yesterday that it is mandatory and imperative for you to learn some of the QMS clause or sections of process. And I gave you a very, very clear, I repeated, I think, 18 times that QA and I mean the quality and the regulatory are now integrated, they are not standalone. Okay, you need to come, I mean, work together. It's not that I say I know about MDR and nothing about ISO 13485, then you'll have a lot of gaps or you may be pushed back that somebody will occupy your space. So it's good that you have some knowledge. I said like it's not that you have to be an doctorate or PhD or dive deep into any of them. Of course, your core area could be the regulatory, whether you're good in MDR or say IMDR or 510K or any regulatory documentation related, or in the clinicals, risk management. Okay, but all of them are directly linked. As I move, I'll tell you, directly linked with the QMS system. So before I take up, I'll take just 5 minutes, okay, to understand, I mean, for my understanding, to know how basic things you understand in ISO 13485. Okay, I'll share you a questionnaire, very simple, basic questions. How good you are, you can type them in the chat. There will be 10 MCQs, very basic, on ISO 13485. Okay, you can, it's MCQs, you can type them, what the answers are. Take 5-10 minutes, because that gives me an opportunity. I mean, to navigate at what level initially to start up and to advanced level where I have to go. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, you can type the answers in the chat box. Okay, there are five plus five. All of them are related to ISO 13485, very basic. Okay. I want to understand the basic, and later after the sessions, when we complete 13485, we need to move to more advanced. These are the basic things. You can write it in your chat box. I don't think that there will be some grading system done on that. Okay, take 5-10 minutes. After you complete the first file, I'll scroll down. I'll zoom in. Yeah, I've done it. Okay, here I'm sharing the key. Can check order, right? I think most of you are done good, right? Almost all. This is the key. Yeah, I think most of you have done it right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is something like basic level 1 we call. Maybe as we proceed, we'll move to level 2. I'll tell you what level 2, level 3. And by the end of these sessions, we need to get on with at least level 5 or to level 7. Okay. That's keep that as your aim and objective that you need to climb. I know like most of you know this because you are working in a manufacturing company. Someone who is in service oriented company can also attempt, but a few of them they feel confused. So as we move with the ISO 13485 2016, let me share yeah. I mean, just I want to touch upon this. Hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this I want to touch on. Like it's a basic thing. Again, I'm saying this is a basic thing, which every quality or regulatory person should know. What's the difference between 13485 and 9001? Okay. As you focus on this, like the primary focus for 13485 is on the regulatory guidance or regulatory compliance, which is related to medical devices. Okay, that's the main primary focus for 13485. But 9001 is for any organization or any industry. See, why I'm saying, why I'm touching upon 9001 is earlier there were some medical device companies who had the, opportunity to manufacture and manufacture and market medical devices with ISO 9001. Okay, it's not too long. Some 5-6 years back, those who are manufacturing, say, class A in IMDR or class 1 device, or some of the devices which are self-certified, which have a very low risk. Okay, they used to have only 9001 and they are eligible for marketing, manufacturing and marketing. But now it became mandatory that whether your device is class A, okay, or very low risk device, it is imperative or it is important that you need to have a 13485 certification. Okay, even EU MDR, Europe also, when they have the MDD directives, some of the companies used to have 9001 certification as their standard. But later now with the EU MDR, the European Union also made mandatory that all medical device manufacturing companies should have ISO 13485 2016. Okay, the days are gone, and because 13485 primary focus was on manufacturing of the medical devices, and it has some regulatory compliance unlike 9001. Okay, and the objective ensures consistent design, development, production, installation and delivery of medical devices meeting regulatory and customer requirements. Here it is very important that it should meet medical device meeting regulatory. We have some regulations which we need to meet and customer requirements. Okay, this basically aims at 9001 for only customer satisfaction. Okay, and continual improvement. Continual improvement is also there in 13485, but it's going to replace in 2026. There won't be any continual improvement. I'll tell you what that improvement will be. But basically in 9001, as of now in 2016 13485, we have continual development. But here in 13485, the regulatory requirements are important and customer requirements are important, which you don't see them in 9001. Just their customer satisfaction is important. Okay, and the most important thing is the regulatory emphasis. We are driven by a lot of regulations, 13485, whether you call it as FDA, QSR, QMS, MDSAP, all these. And 9001 doesn't have any regulatory requirement. They are non-regulatory driven, and they are basically for business. And there will be some manufacturing companies which do business, but without any regulations, as we do as we have with very stringent norms. Okay, but their basic focus is on customer satisfaction. Okay, our focus is on customer requirements. This is the major difference. And industry application, it's basically for medical devices 13485, but 9001 is 01 is applicable for all industries or organizations. Okay, and some of the service oriented companies in medical devices without any manufacturing, still they can get 9001 because they don't have the manufacturing or design development, manufacturing, all that. Just they do services, still you can have 9001. Okay, continual improvement. Focus on maintaining effectiveness of the QMS rather than, see, this is what I'm saying, like effectiveness of QMS rather than continual improvement. Here it is more on continual improvement and customer satisfaction. 13485 is basically on effectiveness of the QMS and customer requirements. Okay, there is a lot of difference between the philosophical difference, maintaining and versus improvement. Okay, maintenance is very very tough job and parallelly improvement. So there should be a continual improvement. And design and development controls are there in 13485 and they are very, very stringent. Okay. But in 9001, they are less prescriptive. Similar clause exist, but it's much stricter in 13485. Document requires we have a lot of things on, say, ISO 13485 clause 4 or 4.2 or 4.3, which talks of control of documents, records, and all that stuff. Here there is in 9001 also they need to maintain it, but they have some flexibility. Product realization, it is, I mean, very tough part in product realization when you talk of design development, purchasing, supplier audits. Okay, there will be a lot of stuff in product realization, mainly from the manufacturing to outsourcing, manpower, all that stuff. But here there will be very less general product realization, not much. Like say in our companies, we have clean room regulations, maintenance, all that stuff. But in 9001, no, that's not mandatory. Customer focus, okay, both have the customer focus, but for 13485, customer safety or the patient safety is more important than the satisfaction of the customer, which is there in 9001. Supplier controls are similar, but ISO 1348 is stricter than that. Okay, where you need to do a lot of supplier evaluation, risk-based supplier evaluation, and you need to do, I mean, timely supplier evaluation. It's not that you do it once and leave it, and you don't, I mean, 9001 doesn't provide any timelines or they don't involve any risk-based categories. Okay. And on measurement analysis and improvement, this is clause 8 in ISO 13485, where you should have process effectiveness, product conformity, COPPA, and regulatory reporting. And basically, none of it exists here. They have a similar framework, but they don't worry about much on all this COPPA, regulatory reporting, and this, because they don't have any regulations, first of all. So they are, I mean, I want to say that they're basically focused on customer satisfaction only. If the customer is satisfied, that's fine for them in 9001. But we are, I mean, under something like Berlin Wall, clogged in Berlin Wall, where you need to have so much of regulations and do a lot of product conformity, COPPA, PMS, all that stuff. Okay. And we have customer feedback handling system, PMS, all that. But in 9001, they don't have it because there is no need for regulatory reporting for them. But we need to report to the regulatories person where there is an adverse event or there is a complaint that is, okay, either severe. There are a lot of categories in adverse events. Okay, severe adverse event, minor or serious adverse events are catastrophic or death. Okay, traceability is very, very important in our devices, medical devices, because we need to track the devices from the production stage, from in-house, okay, to post-marketing till it reaches the patient. You should have the traceability. But for most of the products, of course, now with AI and ML 9001, like you see in AWS, in Amazon, they also have good traceability, but not on the processes. But for us, from the processes, software, sterilization, packing, we should have process connected traceability. Okay, which I'll tell you because ISO 13480 is basically on interaction of processes. It is built on interaction of processes. So you should have process to process traceability. Okay, in-house, and when the the product goes out of the market, still you need to maintain the traceability. Okay, what some call trackability, traceability, all this stuff. Okay, outsource process has to be very effective. Like if you are outsourcing your process, you should have design controls and all that. But here, that's not very strict. Why I'm talking about 9001, guys, is before 13485 came into existence, this standard came into existence, 9001 is the gold standard. Okay, everyone used to, apply this standard. And most importantly, 13488 was built on 9001. Okay, 9001 is the foundation of the ISO. On that 9001, 1348 was built. So don't take 9001 so cheap and easy. Okay, software controls, similar controls will have, but they are very stringent. Structure of standard, okay. This is what I'm saying. The structure of standard in 1348Y is based on ISO 9001 structure, okay. But it has annexure SL. This is high level structure. I'll tell you about what is SL high level structure. Okay, how we'll do the documentation or the structure of our standards. And we have the process approach. I said interrelation between the processes. Okay, in the PDA cycle, even 9001 has the same, but their processes are not regulated. Okay, our processes are more regulated with a lot of KPIs, Six Sigma, and all that stuff. And certification, we have a certification process for organizations involved in medical devices, okay, OEM or distributors. For any organization in 9001 seeking a structured QMS for customer satisfaction analysis. So it's a different target group they are doing 9001. We have a different target group what we are aiming. So the certification groups are entirely different. Okay, it's not that you go to 900 and ask them 13485 because your target group is different. So these are the similarities. Okay, both document QMS, management responsibilities, resource management, internal audits are same, and some are risk-based approaches are same. They have a COPPA and record keeping, and they have integrated into QMS. But these are the major differences in the regulations. We have a stringent regulatory, our documentation is very strong. We need to look at the product life cycle from the design stage to the patient, implantation or the use with the patient, even the PMS stuff. Okay, that's a product life cycle we need. I'll tell you in detail how to work on the product life cycle. And we need to have improvement process, continual improvement, focus on maintaining QMS rather than continual improvement. Again, I talked about traceability, okay, pre-market to post-market traceability, and validations are very, very critical, comprehensive need. Most of the devices in medical field has to be validated. Okay, can somebody tell me if you are not able to validate a device, can you still keep it in the market?
No.
Is it mandatory that we need to do validation of all the devices?
Yes.
And what is validation?
It is a process like we intended use fulfill.
It has to meet the intended, it has to meet the requirements for the intended use. Okay, so validation becomes very important in medical devices, not so in 9001. And what is verification?
In verification, we just check the output requirement meet to input.
Yeah. Output to input or input to out. Whether your design inputs are matching or your outputs are in line with your design inputs. Okay, that is called verification. Sometimes they may be same, sometimes they may be similar, sometimes they may be little bit different based on the statistical values. But we'll discuss on that when I come to the design and development. Very interesting one. I love working on D&D, not only on documentation, but also on the ground stage on the devices. So verification and validation are very, very important. Of course, we have a separate section discussing that how to do verification and validation. And I'll be sharing a lot of QSPs, SOPs on how to conduct verification and validation. Okay. Have you understood something on the differences between 13485 and 9001?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, anyway, I'll be sharing these documents with
Yes,
you.
sir.
You can, because I'm planning to create a cloud or something like a drive, common drive for you and Salvation Global, where you can pick up any document whenever you want. Okay, like as we move forward, there will be a lot of documents where even your drive can't hold. Like there could be something like 200 GB 200 GB documents, and then you need to go for the subscription, all that stuff. So we'll create a cloud, or I will create a drive where you can pick up documents whenever it is required from the drive or the common cloud. Okay. Because say there are something like 250 SOPs. Maybe I'm saying like they may be applicable, they may not be applicable to your company, but on an overall purview, it's important that you should know. Maybe tomorrow you're switching to other company, which has a different product portfolio. Or you're moving to another company which has medical equipment, or you have software as medical devices, or moving to class 3 products like the life-saving critical products. Okay. Or you may move from a very different from a class 3 to class 1, or self-certificate products, like what happened in my career. From class 3, due to some unavoidable circumstances, I moved to class 1, and class 1 seems to be very new for me, though I worked in class 3. So it's important that you should have all the QSPs and SOPs. So as we now navigate from understanding the differences between 13485 and 9001, okay, now we move to 13485 2016 to what is expected. Of course, we discussed this yesterday, but I made it more pragmatic in a tabular form, and I'm going to give you one assignment on this. Okay, as as I move, as I discuss with you on the advanced expected revision that is going to happen in 2026. Okay, and what are the implications and what is the notes you need to carry after my lecture to your company? Okay, to do this. Once the 2026 amendments or the standards come out, what you need to learn and what you need to practically do it. Okay, as I said, it's a high level structure. Here I have divided it into 4 columns. Okay, what is the clause and topic? And the other column is ISO 13485 2016, that is the existing document. What is the expected revision of ISO 13485 2026? And what are the implications of this new revision in 2026? Okay, that is going to affect your company or other companies in future. Okay. First topic, first section is the high level structure. Okay, we call it as annexure SL, but this annexure SL is mainly, you talk of SL high level structure level mainly 9001, but now it has come into the new standard, okay, that is going to come in 2026. What is this structural alignment? Okay, if you look at ISO in 2016, does not fully adopt the annexure SL high level structure used in many newer ISO management systems. Okay, this annexure SL, that is HLS, high level structure is likely to move towards, okay, the standard that is coming in 2026, okay, that we call annex SL alignment, okay, because we have same clause, numbering, common terms, greater alignment. So what does this mean? Adopting to annexure SL or alignment to annexure SL, what does it mean? Okay, it means that our QMS 13485 has to align with other ISO standards. Okay, I mean, some of the clause has to align with the other standards to have an high LS, high level, I mean, high level structure in the sense, suppose you have environment, that's what recently happening. The climate changes, the environmental controls, or the maintenance. Okay, I mean, including the IEC standards. There are a lot of standards that are coming in AI ML. So you need to have an high level structure integrating your ISO 13485 with those standards which were not earlier with the 13485 2016. Okay, I'll share you the standards which you need to align with them. Okay, you know of zero carbon, which is an environmental related. How many of you know about zero carbon or net zero carbon? Which basically says there is a standard that has come up in Europe which says that net zero carbon, you should not use paper. Okay, there is a limit for using papers in your manufacturing site. Okay, your documentation when you are doing, better not to use paper where it is avoidable. Okay, use the integration of the softwares. Okay, and the other, like say on the environmental safety. Okay, when you look at some of the devices that have electromagnetic interference or electrical safety, environmental safety, so those which are the standards you need to, it may be applicable, it may not be applicable to your QMS, but still you need to, okay, include them in your QS at a high structure level. Okay, if it is not applicable, say it's not applicable. Like in 13485, many times you use inclusion or exclusion are not applicable. But you have to mention them in your QMS and say this is not applicable. Okay, it's not like not including in your QMS. Include it in your QMS. If it is applicable, mention what are the causes of it and how we are monitoring it. Okay, and this HL manager LSI or high level structure, okay, is going to integrate your QMS with a lot of other standards. Okay, I'm not talking about 14971 or 10993 like the back compatibility or the clinical or other things that are earlier that are very far from our 13485, like the environmental, like the net zero, like of course climate change has not come in. Okay, like on the electrical safety, other things which has to be included. Okay, and suppose I don't know, I'll tell you this. I don't know which company should I take amongst you. But at some point you need to, I'll discuss this maybe when we do the capstone project. Can you prepare your documents, okay, suited for ISO 13485 2026? Okay, can you structure your documents or restructure your documents? Okay, restructuring is not, it's like something you need to bring more QSPs or more SOPs and do a lot of documentation based on records, whether you are monitoring them. Okay, and what are the steps you are taken? There are a lot of things which I'll give you in SOPs. Okay, regulatory alignment, this we discussed, global harmonization. So now, given this stance, guys, in your organization, can you prepare a global QMS or a global regulatory file, technical file that includes, okay, the EU, EMDR, US FDA, QMSR, and the things that are related to cyber security, software, and AI. Or if your company is not having software, that's fine. But still, you need to talk of cyber security. Okay, because it is, though you don't use software, cyber security is important for every company. Like how your QA and regulatory documents are preserved. No, I will ask like Aman or Soma, how your documentation is preserved or how you keep your documentation safe. Is that you use the scans and printouts, or you use a cloud, or you have a drive?
Yeah, we are using the cloud.
Okay, if you are using the cloud, what is the chances that it may be, your data may be hacked, or there is some issues with cyber security that I can pull out the data from the cloud? Do you have any defense mechanisms or
Yeah, like we are
firewalls to
using
protect
a
it?
separate VPN for all the
Yeah,
employees.
VPN.
Yeah, kind of global protect. So only our entity employees can able to access that cloud folder.
You have firewalls for that, or no? Because I have seen it in my past company that it was in drives, computer drives, but somebody hacked it and they demanded almost like 50 lakhs to
Okay.
give back the data. Because that time we are developing the ERP. Our past data, is very important for us. It's not the current data. That's what we call retention of records. Okay, retention of records or document which are absolute also has to be retained throughout the life cycle of the product. Okay, how you are doing that, and do you have any security measures? This, okay, you need to align. Not only on the global harmonization of the QMS, the regulatory, even the cyber security. Okay, if it's AI-linked. And the risk management, risk-based thinking. Okay, ISO 13485 2016 includes risk-based decision making, but is somewhat less prescriptive than newer ISO. Here the problem is that we have picked up risk-based thinking, okay, from 9001, okay, and not evolved much more on the risk-based thinking. The expected one that is going to happen in 2026 is a very dynamic risk-based thinking. It includes the life cycle of the device, okay, throughout the life cycle of the device with the risk management. If there is a software integrated with it, okay, you should have emphasized the software. So in a word, I should say that the risk-based thinking and risk-based decisions, okay, will be emphasized more in 2026. And you need to link all processes in your system, in your manufacturing organization based on risk-based thinking or risk-based decisions. Mainly when you come to design and developments, okay, when you do the design transfers to the manufacturing or production, when the production comes out with the marketing and the PMS that happens post-marketing, okay, and the regular monitoring of the devices, okay, that's what we call in clause 8, the continual improvement or the PMS, which is now become very, very important. Of course, this digitalization, software connectivity and cyber security, I think in next 2-3 years, all the companies are going to work on this. So you better, I will be sharing a lot of standards on this. What US says, or if you want me to give directly the SOPs on this, I can provide you QSPs, quality system procedures, SOPs. Why I'm saying this, guys, is this you need to not integrate this in your quality manual. Okay, I think most of you know what is quality manual. It is something like a corporate manual which speaks entirely, okay, though it is compact, it talks everything about your company. So you need to include in your quality manual all this stuff. Again, I am repeating, if it is not there also, still you need to mention that this is not applicable for us. And when you say it is not applicable, please underline this. Okay, I mean, so many times I face this as an auditor when I'm auditing. Of course, I'm a lead auditor for BSI. When I'm auditing, they say it is excluded, this clause is excluded, or this is not applicable. So when you mention this word excluded, not applicable, because there is a difference between exclusion and not applicable, which I'll talk when I come to the scope of ISO 13485. Okay, you need to mention or you need to provide the justification why it is excluded or why it is not applicable. Just writing not applicable or excluded is not enough. In 2026, this justifications has to be provided why it is. I mean, you need to have a lot of rational, okay, why you have excluded it or why you have not, why it's not applicable. And post-marketing surveillance, though we are doing now in 2016, but 2026, okay, it is going to be a real world evidence. It's not like you collect it from some pockets of your market, okay, whether it's a PMS, PMCF or periodic update or customer feedback, okay. You need to collect from real world evidence. What do you mean by real world evidence? Can somebody tell what is real world evidence? We call it as RWE. There are two important things when we call RWE real world evidence. Can somebody just throw some light on this? What is called real world experience or real world evidence? And this is going to be very, very important in the 2026 surveillance or vigilance.
Hello.
Yeah.
So, as per my knowledge, real world evidence can be to get a feedback from an end user regarding the product, the intent of use, or is there any aversive event that they have faced during the usage of the product or of the medical devices. So, and keeping those in all those feedback in our record. So
Yeah.
that is what I can understand from a real world evidence.
Yeah, you're
And
partly, yeah, you're partly right. See, I mean, I'll explain you next, I mean, in 2-3 minutes. based on the background of how this why this real world experience or real world evidence has come in. See, when you do basically the clinical trials or clinical investigations, okay, you have a population or patient population who have who are very restricted. Like you have, I think you people understand, we take a particular population and we keep it okay under certain norms. When you write a clinical investigation or clinical evaluation brochure, you say that these people are excluded and these people are included. There will be exclusion criteria and inclusion criteria. Okay, if you look at the exclusion criteria, you say that these people are excluded below, who are below 18 years, and people of diabetes are excluded, people of say hypertension are excluded, these people are excluded. Okay, we have a very narrow, we are working on a very narrow population or patient population. At the end of the day, when you pick up the narrow population, which is very suited for you, of course, your product will perform. Okay, it may not show any adverse events. Okay, there won't be any issue with safety because you have close onto a population with lot of exclusion. Well, I say that I don't want this above 60 years. I don't want uh, or above 40, 60 years or below 18 years. I don't want this kind of, I mean, people with this kind of morbidities. Okay, then when you do that, no, it's like you are positively looking at an something like a superior data or a very good judge or positive results from your clinical evaluation or clinical data. Even not only on the clinical trials, even in your PMCF. Okay, you write the exclusion and inclusion criteria. Okay, I don't know how many of you there in clinicals. And end of the day, what happens is like, and we write so many things like we have written in what we write in the IFU, don't reuse, open it sterile. Okay, you have a separate sterile, the directions, instructions, we all write that in the IFU. But in the real world, what happens? Somebody tell me in the real world, say we have that's why we call clinical trials or investigations are controlled trials or controlled clinical environment because everything is under control. But when you spread your market, when your device goes into the world, okay, the real world, what we call, it's no more under your control that you need to avoid this and thus inclusion, exclusion criteria, all that stuff. Okay, that person may open it in unsterile or sterile. He may use above 60 or with people with lot of morbidities. Then your real world data comes out saying that, okay, what are the real anticipated or what is a realistic picture of your device, okay, in the terms of safety and performance. Of course, I agree that in IFU you write precautions, contraindications, okay, and you write directions of use, but it doesn't happen when it goes to the real world. People use it, okay, not only in India, in any other country, real world studies are very, very important. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing is like you need to check it in all pockets of the markets or in other pockets other countries because there will be a lot of variation between the okay the structure, the pathophysiology, okay, the kinetics between the populations, what we call different races. Okay, of course India has almost all races. I mean, probably I think we have all races. North Indian like Aryans, we have South Indians like Dravidians, and Northeast we have Mongolians or Chinese like But you need to check in other pockets because there will be variation of the safety efficacy of the device from population to population. Okay, it's not only just the age and morbidity when it goes to a real world, because when it goes to real world, you have not checked that parameters in your control clinical trials or your control investigations or in your control evaluations, because you excluded them. When it goes into the real world, all these factors come. There will be a lot of comorbidities mixed together. And the importance of doing it in all population, all races of population. Suppose if you look at Red Indians or Germans, what we call, I mean, basically Indians are called Caucasians. Okay, you go to whites. Actually, I mean, when I worked on the cardiovascular stents, coronary stents, I found that the stunt sizes are very different. Common stunt sizes, what we use in Indian population, are very different from the population in the West, because their blood vessel size is, okay, the diameter of the blood vessel is much bigger than our blood vessels. Okay, if you take right RCA, right coronary artery, or the left coronary artery, if for blood vessel size is 2.5 mm, their blood vessel size will be something like 3 mm or 3.5 mm. So there is a disparity or difference between the populations because of a lot of racial factors or etiology of all that stuff. So if you want to export your product to other countries, it is mandatory that you need to do some PMCF study, okay, in other population or in other countries. So this is going to take a lot of effort from the manufacturing companies, okay, on the real world evidence. As I said, that this is the true data of your safety and efficacy of the device. It's not the controlled clinical trials. So you need to collect this data in different forms like your PMS, vigilance, post, or periodic safety update reports, your customer complaints. Okay, the trend analysis that is happening in customer complaints. Okay, why I have explained this is that this is going to be the crux in 2026. Of course, outsourced processes, supplier control, supply chain is becoming, after the PMS or the PMCF, this is the second point where you need to write an different SOP or different QSP. Okay, in 2026, how you are having supplier resilience, how we are going to address the supplier, how you are going to do the supplier audit. Okay, whether just you're doing it on timeline based or you're doing it on risk based, because this has come in during the period of COVID, where there is a supply chain disruption that happened. Okay, and this led to shortage of life-saving medical devices, critical medical devices. Now, because of the new tariffs that have been happening, there is a disruption in the supply chain, because you need to have the raw materials to manufacture your products. If you don't have your raw material, then there is a, disruption in the marketing or in the supply chain. How you are going to do this? How you have a plan A, plan B? So what we call the resilience in supply chain. Okay. Of course, it is there in 2016, but it's going to become strong, expected more stringent global supply chains and outsourcing. Because when you have the suppliers from other countries worldwide, how you will be having continuity of your product. Okay. When there is some issue of an epidemic or there is an issue of shortage of material. Okay. Okay, this I said environmental controls I already discussed, sustainability, life cycle aspects. These are going to become very, very important in 2026. Okay, you need to include them in your SOPs, of course, in your quality manual, whether your product has any effect on the environment, how you are going to have sustainable environment. Okay. I think you understand when I say sustainable, it's for future generations also. How can they cope up, and how you are disposing your packing waste or other waste, environmental impact. Okay, after the device end life is over, what you are doing, or the expired products, what you are doing, this becomes very critical. So you may add a new documentation metrics in your SOP. Okay, and cycling of this structured documentation requirements. Okay, it's better move to e-platforms or EQMS. I mean, you may think that your company may think that EQMS is costly, like I need to buy it from Greenlight Guru or US or some advisor in US. But I have to tell you that in India also, they are customizing the EQMS process. Most they have done it for most something like places in Bangalore where I visited. These people, these guys, these companies have done EQMS at a very low price and customized for your company. Okay, it's not that you need to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars to acquire from US. Okay, you can contact a company if required. I can give a lot of references, but some are in Bangalore, some are in Pune. Okay, of late, I think a lot of startups have proliferated. So better, I think you need to keep thinking of EQMS. I know like EQMS, I mean, transforming or shifting to EQMS can't happen overnight or in 10 days or in 1 month. It is a very rigorous process. It may take 5 to 6 months because whole of your manual documentation has to be converted into digital. Okay, and in all sections or in all departments has to it has to be linked with all departments from your design, starting from your supplier or from your purchasing, okay, to your stores, from your production, okay, from your QC, QA, marketing, regulatory. All this has to be interlinked on UQMS. So you'll have only a dashboard to see how many products are moving, what is the status. This will be really a great experience if you have EQMS. And I am again reminding you, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not like buying the software and doing it. It varies with the manufacturing unit and your product portfolio, the variants in your products, all that stuff. It takes some time. So start thinking of it, start trying to write, understand, and start an implementation plan. How many SOPs you need to create for implementing or executing the EQMS in your organization. Again, I am telling you guys, there are people back of you who are okay ready for industry 5.0. So you need to do it if you want to be in this space. I mean, in the space of medical devices. Okay, validation of software. Now it's become important. Like even your software. Not earlier we used to have a lot of problem with doing software validations, even for your design software or software like simple calibration software. You need to validate it and you need to have a separate SOP. And I have gone through an audit where they said, where is the validation of your biometric system? Okay, the company adopts a biometric system. I want a validation of from simple things where the software is involved. Okay. Simple calculations which we use are simple, like say that the calibration or in the measuring equipment where there is a software, you need to work on the validations of them. Okay, traceability, I told you there will be UDI. I'll help you on this. If some company wants how to do the global traceability, like not only just Udamid, it is UDI, DI. I have SOPs protocol how to implement the unique device identifier, okay, the UDI, DI, okay, and product device identifier. There are two different, how you can combine them, UDI and PDI, and make it a global identifier, traceability, you can have it. And this is going to be very important thing. Okay, as the globalization is happening, medical devices are moving from one country to the another country. You should have traceability in the form of UDI, DI. Of course, Europe UMD has given us UDAMID, but still you need to include this in your quality manual or bring up a SOP. Can somebody write an SOP on traceability based on UDI, DI? Guys, are you there or
Yes, sir.
you can write? Okay, if we can't, but I'll help you in structuring it. I'll share a lot of time. See, and the last thing is the transition timeline. Okay, once it is enforced, 2026 comes, 13485 2026 comes, it is enforced. Okay, of course, they'll give some transition timeline. It's not that at next day you need to get on to 2026, but they'll give an year or two. But I said to everybody in all of my discussions, okay, you should have a competitive advantage with other companies when you do something early, okay, before it happens or before it comes. So if you are ready now, I mean, though they give a transition time of 1 year, but if you are ready now with the at least the documentation work, okay, and start implementing, you will have an edge over the other companies saying that, okay, this company is ready with the 2026 ISO. Why not I go with this organization? Okay. With the, I mean, that really helps the business tactics where your management has to push. Okay, have you understood what are the changes? Of course, I'll share this document, but try to design, understand some important things. Importantly, I said on the PMS, okay, vigilance, real world experience on the validations, okay, cyber security, supplier chain resilience or supply chain, write an SOP on that. Try to write an SOP. If you can't, I'll share it. Okay, how to write it, and I have ready-made things, but better you start attempting because beginning is half done. If you start doing it, it's almost like half done. I'll share this document with you, okay, and also I'll share the standards with you, okay, like the amendment 11 or AZ. Amendment 11 AZ, BZ, and other things, but nobody is asking me standards, so I could even I'll share the 9001 standard. Of course, they are available. You can download them, but some of them are paid documents, the paid standards. Okay, have you understood something here? Can you do some basic work? Okay, looking forward at 2026.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now tell me which of the sections you will attempt to be ready for 2026. I'll pick up maybe any of this you can pick up. Can you align the other ISO standards like on the environmental, or like on the climate change, other things? Or you want, I think this is really, it takes a lot of time. regulatory alignment, okay, or global harmonization, risk-based thinking. I think you need to link all processes with the risk. Digitalization and software. It will be a bit difficult for you, but I can help on this. This is IEC 62304 on cybersecurity, even IEC 8001 part 1.6. Okay, supplier, can you write on supplier resilience and all this stuff? Pick up one, but bottom line, you should be aware of all this, and at some level, you should be able to do some documentation work for your QMS. And the third level is how we are going to implement it. So have you understood what's going to happen, or what are the changes that are going to happen in 2026 in the QMS?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Madhusri?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you understood, just type, the chat box.
So I have a question over here.
Hello, sir. Me too, sir. I have one question.
Yeah, right.
Uh, you can go for like the one person as
Yeah,
you can go
Majid
forward.
here, sir. So I had a question in this real world evidence scenario. So, for example, you mentioned that risk which we cannot control, so we generally give out in our IFU. So, if that risk which we can control from the user side, so that we already covered in residual risk, right? So, why we will need to move forward with real world RWE?
See, because that's a really, really good point. See, the residual risks that are there, that's why when I talk about the CE or clinical evaluation report, when you link it with the risk management report, okay, these two, including the biological evaluation report, of course, these three documents, but there are other documents on usability engineering also, that's a human device interface. This gives rise to one single document, what we call it as IFU. Okay, what happens is the residual risk, okay, in your risk management become contraindications in your IFU. What contraindications mean? What contraindication mean? Of course, you are right. The residual risk becomes contraindications. What are the residual risks is that though you do a lot of risk control measures, risk mitigation, but there will be some residual risk for the device. It's not that you make the device zero risk free. It still carries some risk. As we discussed, we say as low as possible, as reasonably low as possible. There are different terminology used. Okay, but what is the probability and occurrence, what we call the severity of risk? Okay, that's what we call it as in risk severity, the probability into occurrence, or we'll also map it as probability, what we call severe risk severity index. Okay, that will learn it. Answering to your question, as you said that the residual risks may become contraindications, which means that if it is contraindicated, there is a red line that you should not use the device for that particular patient or for that particular indication. Okay. But many of the doctors use it as off-label. You know what is off-label?
Yes, sir.
Off-label is your indication says something. This is indicated for use in so and so scenarios, but they use it as off-label. Okay, and that leads to complications in that patient. Some they call it as misuse of the device. And Majid, I need to say that misuse of the device, who is going to take the responsibility of the risk?
Generally, the manufacturer has to take the responsibility.
Yeah, we can't just blame the physician or the doctor or somebody saying that you misuse the device. Why should I take the responsibility for the complaint or this the severity or the adverse event? Okay, which UMDR, okay, it has clearly mentioned that misuse is the accountability of the manufacturer. So you need to train your lab technicians or doctors. Okay, mainly if I'm talking about very high risk devices or class 3 devices or class 2B, where there will be a lot of misuse. Even the coronary stents, which we say that this has to be used in coronary vessels, some of them use in dilating the renal arteries. It says it's off label. Okay, when we say that it is a sterile one, it can't be reused. Okay, they sterile it in the hospital, use it 10 times, 13 times, 15 times. Okay, on the third or fourth time, it won't work. I mean, the efficacy won't be seen. This is misuse of the device, and you need to, I mean, as far as the documentation is concerned, I'm saying in risk management document, we clearly mention, okay, you need to refer to the IFU. IFU is a risk control or risk control document. Okay, we'll discuss the hierarchy of what is hazard analysis, how you do the risk, how you control the risk controls, risk mitigation, what is the residual risk, and all this stuff. I mean, that's very interesting one. After one of the topics sections I like is the risk management after R&D. Okay. Yeah, Aman, you have
So, sir, actually, my question is, when we say SOP, so based on what I understood is, SOPs are department wise. We have admin department, HR, production, marketing, sales. We have this kind of departments, and based on that, we create SOPs for each departments. Correct?
yeah.
And if today I need to create an SOPs which is related to a post marketing or the collect the evidence. So what is the first step to create an SOP, sir?
See, the first step is like, again, I repeat that every process is risk based. So the first thing you need to do is, okay, suppose you are looking at the real world evidence or real world studies. This is the part of the regulatory affairs. Of course, you will have a lot of people working in regulatory affairs. You need to you need to investigate or you need to discuss with the regulatory affair person that this has to come in the QMS. Okay. This SOP has to come in because in 2026 this will be implemented. Then you need to, based on my experience, this has to be taken up in the management review MRM meetings. It's not that everything you do as you like in your department. See, what are the regulations? See, you can, if your company has an MRM, you can bring forth the new standard that is coming in 2026. What should I do? What the quality should do and the regulatory should do? Have you discussed this in your MRM or whether you don't have MRM?
Okay, we have MRM 6 months or sometimes maybe a yearly MRM. Okay, so we talk about changes. Okay, these things need to be done. Mostly in commercial parts. Like uh, I have seen very few people having a points or points raised
No,
on a regulatory in a
Aman, the
particular
most
standard.
important thing in MRM is first thing is on Okay, there will be a lot of things in MRM, but the first thing is mainly in the MRM, we'll look at not on the business side. Of course, the management will be working on the business, I mean, looking at the business angle. But as a QARA personnel, we should be more focused on the product complaints, feedbacks, okay, or any adverse events that are very catastrophic or having high morbidity and death. And the root cause analysis for that, have we withdrawn the product or there is any actions on the product. Okay. And the second thing, I mean, I can keep this as first thing also. The regulatory new regulation, adoption of new regulations. If you're not adopting new regulations, how can you market your product? Okay, it will have a lot of nuisance and non-compliance if you're not say think that 2026 standard has been implemented. Okay, the transition time is over and still you don't have the SOP, you're still sticking with 2016 and there is an audit and you don't have the SOP and you don't have the data of a real world experience or real world, it will become major NC.
Okay.
Okay, that's the one I mean, that is the reason one of the objectives of you as a QARA person is to get updated with what's happening in the, updates in the regulation, both in quality and regulatory, and inform to the management or at least your team. Of course, if the management like the CEO or the boss is not available, you'll have a management representative. Okay, there should be what we call in ISO, we have that the communication system. Okay, communication is very important within the organization and outside the organization. How you are going to communicate? You are communicating through mail, you have evidence that you have communicated it, or just you are going to place it on your dashboard or in your what you call stick it to some companies use that. But anyway, that's how you need to communicate. If you are not in line with the regulatory or the quality changes, then there is a big problem that it happened with many companies. They need to shut down, okay, or they need to stop production of their production and manufacturing of their devices. I know many companies, but they are SMS. Big companies do adopt them, but the problem is with startups and SMEs, it's very difficult to implement something where there will be a lot of resistance from management, but still you need to convince them. Like I said, 2026 if ISO 13485 comes, and I said biological evaluation 2025. I mean December it may come. ISO 10993. There are some changes that's happening in 14971. Okay, and there are country specific changes. There are a lot of changes that are happening in IMDR 2017. Okay, even with the city scope. So we are going to adopt write a new USPs or SOPs and document them, record them. Okay, you should as if you know something, it's good that you talk with your head or top person. Okay, or you form a team that this is the thing happening. Okay, and I say that it's not like it's going to tomorrow you can write an SOP or it takes some time. Okay, you need to have a lot of revisions. As I said, like for EQMS, you want to bring EQMS. Suppose the same company has ERP. So when you have an ERP, it's very difficult to integrate it with EQMS. Okay. But again, I'm coming back to India that Indian companies are doing pretty well on integrating that. So I request you to work on this. So keep working on this, thinking on this, discuss with your team. If you don't want to share knowledge, it's still fine. You can keep for yourself. Okay. So I'll quickly run through one of the slide. I mean, one of the okay, I'll share this with you, but I have done this for one company who manufactures one company who is in Summit and another company who is in uh, manufacturing of, using plastic materials for their manufacturing. So scope wise, I have provided here in ISO. The first column is the scope, sorry, the clause, which clause it is coming, and what is there presently in this clause in ISO 13485/2016, and what is expected or proposed revision that is going to happen in 2026, and how it is going to impact on your medical devices and the practical actions. Okay, I have provided this clause by clause. I involved all clause. Okay, from scope to normative references, general requirements, management responsibility, resources, product realization, design, purchasing, traceability, production controls, sterilization, measuring management, vigilance, software validation, environmental stability, documentation, internal audits. So what I want you guys to do is, this is the current scope, or this is the current clause. This is the expected or proposed that is going to happen. The region that is going to happen in 2026. And here is your product. Okay, if it is a scope, how will change the scope of it? Because I don't know your company products. If not, I would have written it for you. So what you do is this, then you need to think whether should I change the scope of it or not. Normative references, general requirements, of course you need to change the management responsibility. Of course, there are some normative references, terminology you need to change. Okay. Of course, general requirements you need to change. There will be some changes in resource management. So existing SOPs you need to revise. There will be like Aman, I'm telling you, Aman or Madhu, there will be some where you can modify the existing SOP. You can raise the revision history of it, that it has been modified because of the implementation of 2026. Or there will be some situation where you need to write a new SOP. Okay. And when you write the new SOP, we'll discuss on this on the documentation, control of records and control of documents 4.2.2 and 4.2.3. Should that become absolute, or which has to be the master copy? Okay, so what I mean to say is that you look at how the third column, expected revisions, how it is going to impact your product. I pretty well know that you need to change the scope. Okay, you need to change some normative, include some of the terminology like integration, sustainability, okay, which comes in 9001, that, sorry, ISO 9000 is on the glossary of the terminology which we use. Okay, you need to have that standard also. That standard should be always in your pocket, because you need to use that same terminology when you're writing ISO 13485. You can't use different words as you like. Should I explain this, or what we'll do with this is, as I mentioned, practical next steps. Run a close crossfall and gap analysis. Okay, between the, as I already mentioned, what is expected, new revision, what is expected. The old one, what you have, run a crosswalk or check out what is the difference. Run a crosswalk or do the crosswalk and do the gap analysis. And these are will be the main important usability, traceability of the pilot. Choose one SKU or your product. Okay, supplier cyber resilience checks, EQMS data integrity, market data strength, management review refresh. Now this stepwise you can take one SOP and see like how it will be very interesting. I'll tell you like once you start doing it, see when I wrote about MD documents, I thought like nobody can do. I mean, an MD documentation catering to 5 countries, the QMS of 5 countries. Okay, and that time in India, no company got MD certification. See, I just started it. It's like I started reading it. Of course, by that time I read all the MD documentations of the guidance documents, companion documents, the directions, all that I read. And just I started with one SOP, and in 6 months, not alone, but with the team, I could really construct, okay, a very good MDSAP documentation. In 6 months, we get after the audit. Generally, the audit and all the certification takes another 3 months time. So within 9 months, we could get MDSAP certification. Okay, the second company in India to get the certification. Because I mean, in the scope, we have everything like from design and development, manufacturing, sterilization, okay, distribution, and we have a lot of devices. So when the scope becomes so enlarged, okay, the scope becomes big. That difficult, I mean, there will be much difficulty than when the scope is very narrow. And when your product portfolio is just you have 1, 2 products, it's quite simple. And just you say, suppose you exclude design. Just you say I'm doing manufacturing, non-sterile distribution. It's quite simple to do the documentation. Okay, so what I suggest is I will be sharing this document with you. Okay, I have done it for 2 companies. I already written what they have to do in 2026. So look out the impact, check out most of the clauses are applicable for almost all devices and companies. Okay, because some of them are very general, not related, not linked to product specific. Okay, like COPPA is, I mean, again, you need to apply risk here, whether high risk devices or low risk. Okay, you start attempting this. See, this is what, say management responsibility is the clause 5. Expand management review agenda to include cyber posture, supplier resilience, KPIs, key performance indicators. Of late, it's if you take anything, okay, from your process validations or your CAPA or I think yesterday I told you, it has to be quantitative. It's not, you need to define and it has to have a quantitative parameter. Okay, like what we call key performance indicator, all in all, wherever applicable department sessions, there has to be a defined number. Okay, there should be a numerical to it. It's not that, okay, I don't have any complaints. I mean, that language is not allowed. I say my process is good. No, you do the Six Sigma, you do the process capability. Okay, what is your process capability? What we call KPC or CPC. You do a Six Sigma. Suppose you have a complaints, you do a Pareto chart, you do, I mean, the trend analysis, you do some statistical analysis. Okay, that way you need to conclude that it's not just with your language of using this some great grammatical language with some strong words. No, that days are gone where you say that my kappa is okay or my product is fine. Everything has to be quantified and it has to be projected in the form of the charts or in the form of tables. Okay, starting from your design to your PMS, to your kappa complaints, everything, and all this has to be interlinked. Okay, supplier material, suppose there is an NC in supplier material. Of course, I'm talking with you on the internal audits also. How is that it's going to affect the safety of the product? Okay, can you do this? Or at least attempt to do this? Or should I explain this more? No, anything is fine. Or should I share this, which I have already done? Somebody speak, please. Have you left or should I share some SOPs what I have done for the other companies, but I don't disclose the companies, but how I have done this documentation for this, for the 2026 rollout standard that is going to come.
Yeah, sir, please share it.
Share it. So when I share it, you can go through it and see whether that don't, don't copy that as it is, because your product is a different product and your product risk is different, your QMS is different. So align that with your QMS, your product risk and your system.
Okay.
It's not that we just copy paste everything. Okay, it has to be aligned, and at the end of the day, it has to be interlinked with all the processes from your quality manual. Okay, the top document in the QMS with the quality manual, you need to mention it. May not be in tomorrow or the other day. At least be ready to talk on this. Be very proactive discussing with your management that this is what's going to happen and we need to do that. And I need a team to cooperate or spend at least 2 hours doing this. Or if you are alone, like Akanksha doing everything, you can contact me. Okay, I'll come to, we have another, can I take another half an hour time? Because we started 15 minutes late, so I'll be taking 15 minutes more. Because I'll be talking on a very
Yes, sir.
important, why process interactions are important. Because this is on non-conformity. End of the day, guys, everything, how good you are, how knowledgeable you are, how good work you are doing in your company, everything ends up after the audit in your NCs. Am I right? Yeah. The non-compliances. See, in ISO 13485, we call it as observations, minor NCs, or major NCs. Okay. Suppose you have 5 minor NCs, 2 major NCs. Your certification is lost because there will be a new way of auditing that is going to come up with the 2026. So I want you to be very vigilant, strict on your QMS systems, and I'll tell you the reason why. Actually, I like this grading of QMS. Earlier, we used to have something like So I said that process interaction is very, very essential in ISO 13485. Of course, the first thing the auditors ask you when they come in is, okay, the document on process interactions. Based on your process interactions only, they proceed for the audit. Okay, the audit basically is on sampling plan. It's not that they audit everything, all your they pick up. I know how they pick it up. They look at where you're very weak. They don't audit where you're very strong. They audit where you're very weak. Of course, they also, I mean, most of the auditors of late are very supple. Okay, it's okay. Yeah, this is a process interaction. Before I come to this subject on process interaction, this is what I want to show you. And you can understand when I say process interaction, what's happening. Okay, we start with customer requirements. Okay, then when you get the customer requirements, there will be a design and development process, okay, which comes under product realization. Okay, then this will be there will be a lot of interactions within the departments, including the management. Okay, the management will have planning, management reviews, manufacturing, maintaining effectiveness, and all the system continual improvement. Then they will come with a policy and direction, and they tell whether we can do this product with based on the customer requirement. If it's a Me Too product already in the market, Me Too, that's fine, but still you need to plan it. If it's a novel device or for new indication, that's the toughest thing. Okay. Then you need to integrate all your design regulatory proposals. The most important thing is before you start designing or development of your product, you should understand the regulatory approvals or regulatory side of it. Don't start the development of the product or design of the product without knowing the regulatory standards or guidelines. So you need to, R&D has to interact with the regulatory and the quality team to understand what are the regulations, what are the QMS standards. Okay, then there will be a lot of design transfer, there will be a lot of interaction between order processing, manufacturing, and all this. There will be some outsourced activities, delivery to market. They need to interact with the marketing departments, get the feedbacks, customer satisfaction, complaints, all this stuff. Okay, process monitoring, customer support. This is measurement analysis. This analysis and improvement. Okay, clause 8, which also include COPPA and complaint analysis. Okay, then you need to have resource management, that's clause 5. So there will be all clauses which are interlinked and will be moving one another. Why I'm showing this is, see, this is, I mean, I know like all manufacturing companies, including your company, mandatorily will have this, okay, process interaction chart and some description on that, which I have written. What is process description, which I'll explain. Okay. But what's happening with this process description chart is like, see, as I told, in ISO 13485 2016, okay, as per the auditor's notes or those who audit, we used to give it as if there is a non-conformance, which is less likely to affect the safety of the product. We gave it as an observation. Observation, just you rework on that because it's not going to really affect the safety of the product or to the patient. Yeah. Then we'll give a minor. If it has some minor effect, I can tell you a lot of examples of minor NCs, observations, how you do, or major NCs, which are going to have a direct impact on the patient safety and performance. Okay. Have you understood how the NCs are based in monthly, I mean, in 2016? ISO 13485 2016 is based on observation, minor NC, major NC, based on the impact or effect of the product on the safety or the risk of the product or the safety of the product on the patient. Okay, give an observation, major, minor, or major. But in 2026, the new the new standard and also the MDSAP had started grading it, grading the NCs, like you give numbering to the NCs, quantify the NCs. As I told the other, just now, like everything has to be quantified. It's not that you give a line, it's a minor AC, major, or observational, something like that. It's not accepted now. Okay, you need to quantify whether your cup or your metric, anything has to be in a metrics. Metrics in the sense you need to quantify it. Okay, I said even production. I'll also tell you when I come to regulatory, I'll tell you what in regulatory how we can apply metrics. Okay. So here, how these NCs are changing. Have you got my point? How the NCs used to be in 2016 standard? Madhusri?
Yes, sir. It's like minor and major. It's not a quantitative. It's like yeah, observations like minor.
Yeah, that's great. But it's based on the how the product or the device is going to impact or have a safety concerns with the patient or the risk of the patient. Suppose I find something where there is issue with control of documents 4.2.2. The documents are not updated. Should it become observation, major or minor or major NC?
Minor.
Why not major?
The thing is, we need to know what is the content in the 4.2.2. If it is directly linked with the patient's safety, then it will go to the major. Otherwise, a document updation, maybe it's a
Yeah,
minor.
actually for that, what we need to understand is we need to understand what is 4.2.2 control of documents
Yeah.
records. And secondly, we need to understand what is that SOP, where it is not updated or where there is. First thing, if there is no SOP for that, it will become a major. Okay. Like I'm telling in 2026, if you don't have an SOP, it will become major NC. But if you have an SOP, but there are some mistakes in that SOP or it's not updated, it may become a minor one. Okay. But my point is, I'll also go through audit training, internal audit training after completion of 13485 or part of 13485. I won't take extensive audit training for that. See, how the grading of NCs has happened in is these four scenarios. Okay. What is the clause affecting product safety? See, here is the direct, here is the indirect. Actually, I should have discussed ISO 13485 earlier. Before I say this is chapter or the clause. Actually, I picked this from MDSA, but it's mostly similar. What is clause 6? Clause 8 say. To me, it's like say management, clause 5. Okay, clause 6, product realization. Okay. Clause 7. Pardon?
Clause 6 is related to the resources.
Resources, sorry. Resource management. Clause 7 is product realization. Clause 8 is measurement. improvement, measurement, and analysis. These are the clause which, if there is any non-conformity, it will have a direct impact. Okay. You see clause 5 from clause 8. If there is some, some deficiency identified in this clause, okay, from management to, because uh, clause 1 are on the scope, or clause 4 glossary and summary, all that clause, even clause 4 documentation, QMS policy, all that may not have direct impact on the product. It may have impact on the system, but it is not going to impact the product. We'll see some examples later. So something like 4 to 6 are not having, they have an indirect effect. I'm not saying they don't have effect, but I'm saying that they have an indirect effect. Okay, like I said, documentation control or, or records control. Okay, they have the indirect impact. So if there is any deficiency from clause 1 to 4, which has indirect effects, still is side effect. Okay, they'll give a grading of 1. It has a direct impact of somewhere from clause 5. Actually, this is wrong. Clause 5 to clause 8, including management. It will be given NC3. The grading will be 3. Okay, have you understood something on this? Based on the clause. Of course, I'll tell you some examples of how these NCs will be based on the clause. Okay, 1 to 4 basically are not that which have a direct impact on the safety of the product. But some of the subclause in clause 5 also don't have direct impact. Okay, but you look at 6, 7, and 8, they have a direct impact on the safety of the product. So if there is any deficiency in your documentation or your SOP or in your records, okay, it will have a direct impact, and straight away you will get a grading 3. Indirect, you'll have grading 1. So this grading basically what we call is escalation of NCs. We need to, they will escalate the NC. I'll tell you how. Suppose there is an audit first time, or there were audits being done. Okay, there is an indirect effect or indirect impact on the QMS. They give 1. Okay, then the audit is over. They have given you an NC. You have closed the NC. You have taken corrective action, preventive action for the NC, and you have also done the VOE, what we call verification of effectiveness, and close the NC. Are you getting my point? Okay, in an audit, you have an NC, okay, which has indirect impact, and you close the NC. You think that it is perfectly closed with verification of effectiveness. Okay, correction or preventive action, but overall on your QMS, you said that you closed it. And you closed it effectively. Underline this. But the same NC repeats again. Have you understood my point? If the same NC repeats again in that particular section, it could be same or relevant or similar NC raises again, then there will be escalation of this NC to 2. It is a repeat NC. See, second time the auditor comes and he sees that the NC is still open. So instead of you getting grade 1, he gives that you have not closed the NC properly, or the effectiveness of closure of NC is not proper. So directly you will have an indirect NC which has to be 1 because it is repeated. You have a repeat NC of the same thing, the same system, similar. It is given as 2. This is called first NC and repeat NC. See what happens in direct. Indirect, if it is straight away they give 3, which has a direct impact. Okay, and if the NC is repeated again, if the NC is repeated again, what does it mean? That your verification or effectiveness of your verification or your COPA is not strong. You have not done a perfect root cause analysis, corrective action or preventive action or verification of the effectiveness, and hence the NC has repeated again. This is very, very serious. Repetition of same NC or similar NC in that particular scenario, there will be amplification of this escalation of the NC to 4. Okay. And the third important thing is escalation of NC. One is we have seen the direct and indirect effect based on the clause. Second, we have seen the occurrence in the first audit and second audit. If still occurs in the third audit, they will close the company. The other is the linkage of process, escalation through process interactions. This is like, suppose I found an NC in store, basically we call the supplier management or the incoming material, raw material stores. I found an NC that he has not done an audit. There could be any NC, but that material has gone into production. Okay, you have an interaction of process here. And the material is produced and you have a QC test. The QC has not recognized this because you have an immaterial QC and a finished, semi-finished or finished QC. People call it in different names. But the QC has not identified and they said it's okay. So what I'm trying to say is the one which started with an NC in purchase now becomes an NC in production, and this is also linked to the QC or the QA. So all the processes are affected. Again, it is based on the risk severity or risk index. So one NC which has come in one department will obviously, if it comes from design and development, okay, or it may come from the management review, it may come from the internal audit, it may come from any department because your process, the basic structure of the ISO 13485 is process interactions. Okay, the first where the NC arose, it will be connected to the next NC at the next department. Okay, then there will be escalation of the NC. Have you understood my point?
Yes, sir.
Vaibhav?
Yes, sir.
So I understood how in 2026 the escalation of NCs, it's not, again I'm saying, it's not just a kids game. Observation, minor, major is gone. It is going to be grading based on the clause, effectiveness of the clause, direct, indirect, reoccurrence of the same NC, okay, based on the process interaction, okay, because when there is a deficiency or NC arised in some department, it is obviously it will interconnect to the other. Of course, I'll show you a lot of examples as we move. Okay. And of course, there will be a great worst NC will be the absence of procedure. Because you are coming with 2026, you need to have new procedure, whether it's QSP or SOP, there should be some based on the revised documents, that's what I told you. Some SOPs or QSPs, you can revise them. Okay, which is already there. But some SOPs where you need to create new ones. Like if you don't have a cyber security on right one, you don't have a traceability based on Udemy DI global, you don't have something on harmonization, or you don't have something on the PMS, real world evidence, right? Something. Because I mentioned everything clause wise. First thing is if you have if you have SOP and you have not revised it based on the new standards, it's okay. But still you need to revise it. Okay. But the worst thing is you don't have an SOP or you don't have a procedure on that, which means that you are not aware that the revision are happened, or you are lazy, or you are just adamant that what will happen if I don't write an SOP on the new standards. Got my point? So absence of a procedure for that particular NC is still worse, because see, when we do audit by sampling procedures, first they don't look at your quality manual, or the pyramid of PMC. First there will be a quality manual, then there will be QSP. QSP is the quality system procedures, then there will be SOPs. Okay, down there will be SOPs, STPs. So the bottom will be your records. Okay, where the data you have collected, or forms and records. First they will check your forms and records. Have you recorded it? Then they will go by whether have you recorded it based on your SOP. Okay, if you have not recorded based on your SOP, obviously there will be answer. Then they will move up and say whether your SOP is in line with your QSP, and have you mentioned that in your quality manual. So this is the pyramid of how you need to build up from the quality manual, QSPs, SOPs or STPs. The last one is the forms and records. So the auditor, or when somebody comes in, they just look at your product and say that where is the traceability of this product? How you recorded it? If you recorded it, how you recorded it? Where is the UDA, DI or the traceability in your SOP document? Then show it in your QSP that this is the system you are following. Have you included this SOP in your quality manual? It's not that you write that SOP in quality manual, but you need to write that under that particular clause, we have traceability document in the UDI DA. Have you understood this?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Are you tired of looking at this kind of grading of NC?
No, no, no. It's all interesting and informative.
Are you afraid that see there is too much escalation? See, I'm saying that if it escalates above 5, 1 NC above 5, okay, they'll give time for you to correct it, and they'll do a re-audit immediately. Okay, still has escalated to more than 5. Okay, then there is chance that your certification may be cancelled. Okay, re-audits are possible. There will be surprise audits that are possible. Okay, so keep this in mind on the direct indirect effect of the NC on the product, reoccurrence of the NC. Okay, escalation of NC based on the interaction of processes is from I said, like, from production it may go to marketing, or marketing back to, if the marketing are not providing customer feedback, Okay, then it goes back to the QA. Okay, then the absence of total process, this is the worst thing which we should not expect. So start preparing SOPs, procedures, QSPs. Of course, I'll be sharing. Okay. And this I'll discuss in length, or not length, it'll take 15-20 minutes later. But I'll share this document because I think you can understand this. There's not so much critical intrinsic words or sentences in this. It could be very much understood. And this process interaction, guys, I'm telling you, this could be one major. I said yesterday PDCA, what is that PDCA? I don't believe in PDCS, I think, but process interaction is very important. And grading of answers is very important. Okay, you understood something today? Have you understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
already speak, yeah. It's like, for me, it's like I'm sitting alone in the room speaking to a laptop. Okay, you need to interact, to stop me or say yes or no. Okay, otherwise, people think that if somebody sees me, they think that I'm schizophrenic or maniac. Just talking to myself or talking to laptop. Please interact in the chat board or in the chat, interact or ask some questions, say yes or no. You can correct me. It's not that I'm always right. Okay, I'm always correct. And keeping in view your company and your understanding on the system. The some questions may be very something like very simple or now, but don't uh, be afraid of asking questions. Don't think about what others think if I don't know this. Okay, you should not be never shy in asking questions. Okay, I'll ask questions very directly if I don't know even the basic thing. Okay, keep asking questions. Of course, we'll be moving to more. Next, I'll be talking class wise on ISO. Okay, then we'll be moving into, when I'm speaking class wise, I'll give you some practical examples. Okay, the objectives and the key points where we need to focus on every class. Okay, then you'll have a better understanding. Maybe one session will go for that. Then the next session I'll be talking on internal auditing. After understanding all the clause, okay, what you will be looking more at as an internal auditor when you audit something. That will be more interactive. Okay, I'll show some pictures or I'll give some sentences in SOPs. Some activity will be there where you need to, after, I mean, this comes after training as an internal auditor. You should need to find what is the NC, okay, under which clause the NC will come, what is the corrective action. Of course, if you have a preventive action, that's fine. So we'll do that stuff so that you'll have an understanding, practical understanding on each clause. Okay, and I also beg you to remember clause numbers. I know, like, I don't remember them, but somebody like you who are evolving into a good leader in QARA, you have a great memory. You need to remember what all these 9 clause. In that 9 clause, you have subclause. Of course, I'll make it very simple. But on clause, I have a very short memory. But in regulatory annexures, I can tell anytime. Okay, guys, these all things I'll be sharing in WhatsApp. And the good thing is, these all things are recorded. Yesterday's session and this session. But yesterday's session, when I heard the recording, there is some little noise, background noise. I understand it's because of my AC back on the wall where the fan is in full swing. I mean, AC fan is in full swing. So today I reduced it, and let's see, there won't be any background noise. Okay, and these two recordings I'll share on Monday, because if I share as it is, that will occupy a lot of space in your disk. So it's better I'll share the links of it. Okay. If you have any questions, just post them. Any help, any help for you or for your company, I'm always there. Okay. Have a great weekend. Almost your weekend is over here, but at least spend some good time outside tomorrow. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.